Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we had an awesome day of racing. There are three important races I want to talk about today, and I want to start off with Gent Wevelgem, which was so far probably the best one-day race of the season. E3 was great, Strade Bianche was great, but this edition of Gent Wevelgem was really amazing. I said the other day that we will probably have another sprint finish like we often have in this race, but every now and then there is some epic racing going on in Belgium, and today was one of those days. We had right from the get-go a group with a lot of big favorites who attacked and made the racing real hard. The first hour of the race had an average of 57 kilometers. The second hour had an average speed of 53 kilometers per hour. So the guys were going really fast. And like I said, we had a lot of favorites in the group. By the time when there was 70 kilometers to go, the group still included Sagan, Trentin, Van Aert, Tönnissen, Le Gros, Bol, Mats Pedersen, Jasper Stuyven, Edward Teuns, Fernando Gaviria, Van der Poel, and Terpstra. And no joke, there's almost no bad rider in that group. Quickstep missed the cut. They only had Tim de Klerk in the group, who got dropped. And then it was up to them to chase the race, because, well, basically every other team had someone good, some of their captains in front. And so they did. The group shattered once again a few kilometers later, and then for a lot of time we had Sagan, Trentin, Tönnissen and Teuns at the front. Then it was Christoph who tried to attack, but he was chased down by Stibar and Van Aert. And then after that, another group attacked in the final kilometers, which was really interesting. For a moment there I thought this group could actually take it, because with 6 kilometers to go, it was actually Langeveld, Jack Bauer, Stuyven again, and Grondal Jansen, who got a decent gap. And because Quickstep was almost spent, they had Gilbert and Stibar still in the group pulling for Viviani for a sprint finish, who was still there. But it wasn't meant to be for these four guys, because Gilbert gave his everything, Stibar gave his everything, and they barely got back before the line. And then in the sprint, Viviani, after all the work his boys put in, like, everyone sacrificed their own chances. De Klerk, after he got pulled back from the breakaway, Stibar, Gilbert, like I talked about, Yves Lampaert, they all worked their asses off for Viviani, and then he got boxed in the sprint and did not even finish in the top 10. I don't know if it's those long races with Viviani. I talked about it numerous times. His history in Sanremo is not the greatest. Today another 250 kilometer race. Last year he was second behind Sagan after a sprint in Gent Wevelgem. So I guess slowly but surely you can say he is just not made for these long races. He's a really good sprinter after a short classic like 180, 200 kilometers. He's good after your average Giro or maybe even Tour stage. We will see this year. But it seems like when it's over 240, 250 kilometers, he makes mistakes, he tends to fade, he does not have the power anymore. And who had the power was actually Christoph. It was actually Christoph in front of Degenkolb. It seemed like we were back in 2015 when these two guys were dueling it out on the cobbles. And today in the sprint, Christoph, after being on the attack, he won the sprint, so great result for him. He showed that it was not only Gaviria who you should take into account, but also that he still has some left in the tank and he's still a very good rider. After attacking, finishing off, winning the sprint, really great race by the Norwegian rider, and this will give him confidence for the upcoming monuments, and I think he has a decent shot. But the two main favorites after a series of cobble classics, in my opinion, have to be Wout van Aert and Zdeněk Štýbar. Those two guys were really, once again, probably the best guys on the cobbles. Peter Sagan, his form is not fully there yet. Okay, he was in the break today, so he was spent at the end. A new tactic they tried today did not work out. On his day, he has to be mentioned, but the two guys in absolute top form currently are Van Aert and Štýbar. And for the Ronde and probably also for Paris-Roubaix, I would like to mention those two guys as my two main favorites right now. We will see what happens at the Ronde, and then we will see what can happen at Roubaix. Well, they are different races, but Štýbar has great results in both of them, and Van Aert is getting better by the year. He was bad this winter in cyclocross because he mainly prepped for his road campaign, and you saw that he stood no chance against Van der Poel, who was actually fourth today, so also a great result by him. He seems to be better at combining both. He had an incredible cyclocross season and now is still finishing among the best on the road, while Van Aert took a different approach. He took it a little bit slower in the winter, was not at his best at those races, where most of them he lost against Van der Poel, and now he's in really great shape. And I think he is at the moment better than Van der Poel, but who knows, if the Dutch decides in the future, in 1 or 2 years, that, like Štýbar did, I want to go full road, then, well, he could be a dangerous man in the future, but for now, Van Aert should be the better guy on the road, on the cobbles, even though not in the dirt. And yeah, that's for Gent Wevelgem. Unexpectedly for me, a really great race, but you never know. With these cobble classics, anything can happen. Some favorites can crash out. That makes all the difference sometimes. Crosswinds are often a factor. And like today, when a lot of favorites attack right from the get-go and one big team misses out, that team has to chase, and it showed in the end because the Koenig Quickstep had to put all their eggs in the Viviani basket, and that failed utterly. Maybe it would have been better if they had Gilbert, Lampard or Štýbar in the front group, one of those three guys, but it wasn't meant to be. They also had bad luck that Richese and Jakobsen both crashed out of the race and could not finish. They would have been probably a lot of help for Viviani because he had no lead out in the end, and that is why he got boxed in probably. But yeah. Now I want to talk about another race we talked about over the last few days, which is Catalunya, and David Formolo won the final stage. And actually that was his first victory in over 4 years, no, in almost 4 years, because his last victory came in 2015 when he won a stage at the Giro d'Italia, so almost 4 years, not more than 4 years, but still, it was a long wait for him. He had pretty decent results over the last 2 years, especially last year with Bora. He got a few top 10s in stage races, in the general classification, which was a good sign after his transfer to Bora. He got his career back on track, and now he finally takes a victory again, and this will only give him even more confidence ahead of his goals of the season, and we'll have to see if he can win a few more races in the future. He was once seen as one of the biggest talents in cycling, did not quite live up to that potential, to his name, of his family name, but he's still a decent rider, and today he pulled it off from the breakaway, attacked his mates, and great finish by him. Then we had a lot of action in the general classification, because the Yates brothers, they threw everything at Miguel Angel Lopez and Astana, but also at Bernal with Team Sky, because both of them attacked together with a little bit more than 20 kilometers to go, and they really fought hard to get the overall victory, but Sky and Astana were chasing hard. They got caught inside the final 2 kilometers. That is when Enric Mas attacked, and he actually finished the stage second, a little bit more than 50 seconds behind Formulo, and because of that he moved up to 9th in the general classification, so good result for him on the final day, finally found his legs. And third was once again a good result from Maximilian Schachmann, who just barely missed out on the points classification with his third place. If he would have come in second in front of Mars, he would have won that classification. Now it goes to Michael Matthews, who won 2 stages in this race. But yeah, overall a great race by Schachmann, who had a lot of great results. He had that one bad day he's just not a super climber, but yeah, the climb up to Falta 2000 it was, which took away his general classification hopes. But other than that, he has shown that he has a decent sprint in him. He has shown that he gets over hills, over lumpy stages really great, should be a contender at least for the Ardennes Classics even this year, especially if he forms a great alliance with Peter Sagan. Like one of them attacks, the other sits back and can watch, like the usual Quick-Step, or this year also Astana tactic, because Astana and Quick-Step both raced the same way this season. You attack with one of your captains and you have another two or three strong riders behind, so they don't have to work, and either the guy who attacked first manages to hold the peloton off, or you have fresh legs who then win in the sprint. It seems really easy, but you also need to have the manpower to do it. You need to have like 2 or 3 really strong riders. And this year for the Ardennes, at least, Bora have that. Like on the cobbles, it's all about Sagan, who has, yes, he has Daniel Oss with him, but in the end, it's just Sagan, while Quick-Step have like 4 or 5 guys. If you count in Bob Jungels this year, he replaced basically Niki Terpstra, and there is no drop-off. So yeah, Niki Terpstra is still missing a great result this season. Maybe because he does not have the support from Quick-Step anymore. Who knows? But at least for Direct Energy, he got them a few wildcards, and I bet he's earning a lot of money from them. So yeah, I guess he's still happy about that, but career-wise, I think it wasn't the smartest decision to leave the Koenig Quick-Step. It almost never is. There are few riders who leave this team and have better results in the future, even though on some days you have to sacrifice your own chances. Like, you look at Zdeněk Štýbar, who had to sacrifice a lot of his... Sorry about that. Štýbar had to sacrifice a lot of his own chances over the years for, be it Tom Bonen, for Gilbert, for Terpstra. And this season finally, and he is already 33, but yeah, this season finally he is the captain for the cobbled races for them. And he has already won 2 of them. I don't know if he would have won them if he was on another team, even though, like I said, he and Van Aert seem to be the strongest cobbled riders right now. But yeah, I'm getting back to cobbles. You see, I really love those races. I really love the cobble classics. But yeah, back to Catalunya and the great results of Formula Enric Mas and Schachmann, who finished the final stage on the podium. In the general classification, because the Yates brothers were brought back, there was no change in the overall, so the top four stayed the same, with Miguel Angel Lopez taking the overall for Astana, which makes it 20 wins for them on the season, 20 wins for Quickstep. They are even right now. Quickstep had hoped to get away once more with Viviani, but wasn't meant to be. And then lastly for today, I want to talk about the Coppi Bartali, which we talked about the other day, where I said that Mikel Landa has finally won a stage again. And today it was actually Mauro Finetto who got the stage win on the final stage of the race. In the overall, there were no changes again at the top. We had a 1-2-3 sweep from Mitchelton Scott, who took the overall victory with Lucas Hamilton. Second was Damien Howson, and third was Nick Schultz. Then on 4 and 5, it was the before mentioned Mikel Landa in front of David de la Cruz for Sky, who got his rare chance to lead at a stage race for this team. Does not happen very often, but in smaller races like this, he gets his opportunities, and well, he got 5th, which is not bad, but it's also not a sign that he should be captain for more races or for bigger races, because for that he should have won the race. But yeah, De La Cruz is not a bad rider, but he's not really captain material. He is a great rider to send up the road, and then maybe he can take a victory like he did in the past, but he's not a rider you can rely on to win you the big races. A great domestique in the Grand Tours, no doubt about it, but this time around it showed again that he was beaten by a few other guys with whom the actual Sky captains like Bernal, like Froome, like Geraint Thomas, like probably also Poles, they probably would have beaten them, which De La Cruz couldn't do. And yeah, next up we'll have a few more coupled races, but also soon on the menu we have the home race of Mikel Landa. We have Itzulia, which is a really great race. I really like the race. Last year was the breakout performance in that race of Enric Mas, who took the stage up to Arate, the mountain stage, and we'll have to see what he can do this year around. Like I said, I have high hopes for him this season in general, but also this race. Today he showed with his second place in Catalunya that the form is going upwards. Like, he had a few bad days, or not perfect days, because he was lacking form, but he is there or thereabouts, and he and a lot of the Ardennes Classic specialists will be at the start line at Itzulia, but that is a video for another day. We'll talk about that when the race is coming. So for now, I'm out.